Hi, everybody. My name is John de Guzman, and I am the head boys cross country coach for Lamont High School. And I'd like to go ahead and welcome all of you and go over a couple of rules and regulations and a couple of basic information for everybody to know as we begin the season. First off, I have proudly coached this season for this team for more than 20 years. It's been an incredible journey and everything for me, and I have proudly seen some amazing athletes come through this program, and I am happy to be a part of it. And along with my assistant coach, Dennis Kennedy, we have seen some outstanding athletes come this way. And we have seen 4 conference titles, 3 IHSA regional titles, 2 state qualifying teams, an incredible 6 state qualifying individuals, and we just look forward to seeing more of our program and everything, and our athletes represent our team as we head off into the postseasons. A couple of basics for everybody to know, and just so that they understand some of the contents here from an administrative level. Our required paperwork is going to be on Lamont High School's new program called 8 to 18. This system allows users to be able to put all of their updated physicals and required forms and fees. Basically, everything goes onto this particular site, and coaches are able to track eligibility of our athletes and be able to see whether or not they meet the requirements in order to practice and compete. This is something that is non-negotiable, so please make sure that you have all updated paperwork and everything uploaded for every single season that the athlete partakes in, and we'll be notified of their eligibility. A few other items involving academic eligibility also our Lamont High School Code of Conduct. Just a few things for people to know, that there are expectations, not just from an athletic standpoint, but also from an academic performance too. We want to make sure that everybody is a positive role model and a team representative, and we encourage our athletes to not only perform well in school during season, but we want them to perform well year-round also. A few other particulars involving severe weather. It is rare in cross country for races and practices to be canceled. However, there are some regulations and everything should it occur. In particular, when it comes to rain and snow accumulation and everything, runners actually run in all of those, which can be very daunting to the runner. However, when it gets to severe weather and inclement weather, that's a different story. If there is lightning that's found in the area, and radar is detected and everything that is close by, all athletes and everything are to seek shelter, and then there is a 30 to 45 minute wait in between every lightning strike. And so due to that, we have waited out meets and everything from before, and sometimes meets also get canceled as a result. And so we want to make sure that we keep our athletes safe, and that we make sure that we follow the proper protocols also. There could potentially be rescheduling procedures and everything, but oftentimes, especially when it comes to larger meets and Saturday invites, then they often just simply cancel it, and we don't make it up, unfortunately. So there is a cold weather regulation too. If it is below 35 degrees, then that is actually grounds for cancellation as well. So again, in the spirit of keeping our athletes safe, we want to make sure that we follow those regulations also. When it comes to other injuries and whatnot, when it comes to our athletes too, we do have an athletic trainer that's on site. This is actually consistent with every race, whether we go to a forest preserve or if we're on site and everything. There should be an athletic trainer that's provided for by the host school. So that's something that is uniform and everything with each cross-country race, so that if there's any problems or injuries that are sustained, there is a professional there to be able to handle it. Major injuries such as a concussion or severe sprains and things like that, they must have approval by the administrative team in order for the player to return to the lineup. This is something that's uniform, not just in cross country, but in all sports and everything that are sponsored by IHSA. And those are some procedures and protocols that we intend to follow too, if any of those items happen to our runners. When it comes to attendance and transportation, and Lamont High School, we do have a policy in regards to excused and unexcused absences. We do expect our athletes in which to adhere to that. Yes, we understand that there are special cases that may apply, things like work and things like school. Those are items that can be communicated with to the coach, and we'll allow those items to happen. However, if there are athletes that just simply miss, just because if they were, if they're for whatever personal reason or whatever, those are items that can be considered an unexcused absence. And consequences for that could include, changes in the roster, position where they are at in the starting lineup, and so those are some items that could potentially be a consequence for the runner. There are some other protocols too regarding carpools and things like that. They do need to have approval if the athletes are to carpool themselves, only to home matches. Okay, when it comes to away matches, athletes must drive or must ride with the bus. So that is something that we do have a school-approved bus that will transport the runners to the away site. And then after that, if a parent comes and picks them up, that's no problem. As long as they're checked in or they check out with a coach, that's not a problem at all. But going to the site, it must be by the school-approved bus. So please make sure that you're mindful of that. This brings us over to the next part of the presentation regarding lineups. As far as lineups and everything are concerned, there is a starting lineup for the varsity. That is the top 7 runners, which comprise the varsity lineup, and the same thing goes for the frosh-off as well. For any runners that are not starting in either of those lineups, they are put in the open race. So one of the items that I often share with parents and everything is that nobody is benched in cross country. Everybody competes. I think that's a great aspect of this sport and a great aspect of the program as well. And so when it comes to lineups and everything, these can be flexible. Some runners, they improve over time and over the course of the season, and they may take up a starting position in either of these starting races, so varsity or even frosh-off. So that's one of the things that we promote with our sport, is to keep on training, to keep on improving, and seeing where the lineup actually ends up could be very different than how it starts. So that's something that we think is very, very important. But generally speaking, when it comes to weekday meets and everything, there's usually just 2 races, a boys race and a girls race. So everybody runs together in that regard. But when it comes to the Saturday invites, those are broken up into different divisions. They'll usually have the varsity, the freshmen, sophomores, and also the open. And so where the runners fall during that time, and of course we do a series of time trials, and also where we see the progress of their actual performances in races, and that's how we determine the lineups and everything as we get closer to the postseason. When it comes to scoring a meet, this is something also too that parents often ask, and that's based on the placement of the top 5 runners. And so with that, the team with the lowest total points, they're the ones that win. So example, a good way to look at it is if a team scores places 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a race, we call that a perfect score. It's very rare, but it actually has happened. And so that's something there that we pit the placement of our runners against the placement of the other team's runners. And that's what determines the score of the meet. And so with that though, even though we score 5, we run 7. Because in the event of a tie, we actually move to the 6 and also the 7 runners, which has happened as well. And so that's something there that we always find it very important and everything to have those the runners 6 and 7, because they could potentially make the difference between a tie of 2 teams. A couple of other rules when it comes for spectators and also for parents, and this includes actually for coaches too. There is to be no physical interference by spectators with a runner. That can result in a forfeit. And so this is something that oftentimes, my assistant and myself, we're watching our runners very, very closely. If there's anything that occurs or anything that happens while the race is actually going, the coach has to actually be notified. So if you see a runner struggling or something like that, please talk to us, because if an athlete is pulled, then that actually results in the forfeit of their placement. So they are no longer eligible then to score. So that's something that hopefully should be brought up and everything with the coach should it ever be that case. Spectators and everything, can be removed by administrators, by IHSA officials, and also by approved coaches as well. If there's any sort of rowdiness, if there's any sort of wrongful interference and everything when it comes to it, we can deem that spectator and everything to be removed. So again, just a couple of regulations and everything in which to follow, but that's something that we is rare, and so we hope that we don't run into those items and everything on a race. A few other items there involving equipment and gear. We do want to make sure that runners, they provide their own running shoes. We do recommend, but we do not require, racing shoes and spikes. You can see here on the picture and everything, right? Those spikes and everything are removable. We have the proper tools and equipment and everything to be able to put in different spikes and everything too onto the runner's shoes. Okay, however, all of that is optional. It is to be used at the runner's discretion. Other items include arm sleeves, long socks, headbands. As the season starts to take a turn in terms of cold, that's something that we do recommend our runners and everything to wear some additional gear. However, it cannot detract and everything from the uniform that is to be worn also. So runners are allowed to wear Under Armour or undergarments and what's called cold gear. However, they must be the same color as the other players on the team. So that's very, very important to follow. They have to be the same, or they cannot be worn at all. So they're looking for that uniformity and everything, even when runners wear that undergarment. However, we do provide a school-issued uniform for everybody. Must be cleaned regularly, and cross-country uniforms do get dirty. So just make sure that those are clean and everything, ready for the next race. And other than that, they'll be returned at the end of the season. Lastly, on this one also too, we also try to have a very positive social media presence also. Please follow us and everything on Twitter. We try to put all of our accomplishments and other little progress and other fun items and everything when it comes to our amazing sport. We try to post that and everything on Twitter. So please, feel free to follow us and check out our pictures and check out our accomplishments and everything on social media. And we look forward to an outstanding season. A few items about me. I like to share a couple items and everything too. I have been doing this sport, for a very long time actually. I have been a very proud member of this program. I began as an assistant coach, transitioned over to head coach of the boys program, and it's been an amazing journey for me. It's become a life passion for me to run and for me to coach and to see some outstanding runners, come through this program. And it really, really, truly is a unique and amazing sport for anybody to be a part of. I have a wonderful wife. I have two beautiful daughters and an amazing son. I did the Chicago Marathon back in 2010. And I've done multiple 5Ks and everything too. So I've put an awful lot of miles and everything on my belt. And that's something that, as I see myself and everything as a runner and a coach, it's something that I've learned to promote and everything about this community of runners that's ever present. And I think it really is something for everyone to be a part of. I do promote commitment and community and competition. I feel like as if this community of the running community is really, really quite amazing. And I think that it is something special to be a part of. And so committing to that, I think, is a really, really important aspect for any runner, not just myself, but for any runner to learn. And I think, of course, there's the competitive element, not necessarily in regards to other teams, but also learning what it means to compete against yourself and to set those high expectations on yourself and be able to reach those goals, I think, is an important life lesson for whatever stage of runner that a person comes at. So I feel like that's something that I've seen that type of growth in my athletes over the years, and I look forward to seeing it once again this upcoming season too. I thank you all very, very much, and I look forward to meeting and seeing all of you for this upcoming season, and we are looking forward to a great one. Thank you very much.